Find other great podcasts like this one at podmoth.network.
Do you have a hunger for cinematic horror?
Do you enjoy the thrill from seeing boogeymen, beasts, and butchers go about their dark work?
Then all you need to do is speak of the devil, and the devil will come to you.
Speak of the Devil is a podcast for all movies that have anything from demons and poltergeists to serial killers and the supernatural.
I'm Kayla.
And I'm Taylor.
Join us as we embark on a journey through the dark recesses of horror films, from the classics to blockbusters and everything in between.
New episodes come out every Wednesday wherever you listen to podcasts.
We're not scared of anything.
Are you?
Hey, what's up, you guys?
Hey, what's up, you guys?
I'm Kathryn.
And I'm Hayley.
We are Saturdays for the Ghouls,
a Podmoth podcast.
How are you doing, Hayley?
I'm alright. I'm just really tired.
Per usual.
Slightly extra this week.
Yeah, okay. I could get that. Alright.
How are you?
I'm living the dream.
I was like, we have some interesting lives.
Yeah. Do we?
Maybe. Slightly.
I haven't been reading, like, almost at all. Like, yesterday's the first time I started reading again this month. And, like, I haven't been posting on TikTok. Nothing. None of the things I usually do. It's not a good sign.
I was like, do we need to cut the recording right now? Because that sounds like depression.
We'll just keep it trucking. Yeah.
Just simple tactic. Also, hopefully your therapist never actually listens to the podcast.
Yes, she doesn't know I have a podcast.
Oh, good.
The amount of times I've almost been like, so I have a podcast with my best friend, because then I know she's going to be like, oh, what's it called? And then I'm going to have to tell her it's Saturdays for the Ghouls, which is fine. If she does start listening to one of our 200 episodes and comes to the point where she's like, oh, this girl is damaged. And we don't have 200 episodes. I'll be really clear. We have 128. So
wow, that's still a lot.
Yeah, because we've been doing it for 2-ish years, a little longer than 2 years. Almost like 3 years, but we have taken like mini breaks. Anyway, but in all seriousness, this week is Hayley's week, and she's bringing us an actual true crime. Woo! I think this is like her second ever real true crime episode.
This one's wild, bro.
Okay. All right, Hayley, take it away. Give us a true crime.
All right. This is the case of Allison Botha. Do you recognize his name?
No, but that means nothing.
That's fair.
I'm 7 seasons into Grey's Anatomy, and sometimes I can't remember the names of the characters I've been here with for 7 seasons.
All right, so we're going to be talking about Allison Botha. Allison Botha, she was born on September 22nd, 1967 in Port Elizabeth, South Africa.
South International.
International, yeah. Crime all over the world, man. Up in the sky. Champagne.
Okay, we're not going to sing.
Sorry.
Do you remember when we first started? Every episode we would sing something. We should bring
We're just bringing it back. Just bringing it back. That's it. Okay. She was born to Bryant and Claire. She had a pretty normal childhood. The only hiccup, I would say, is her parents did get divorced, and her mom was a single mom and raised her and her brother Neil. They were only 18 months apart. He was older. She was like an average student. She went to the Collegiate High School for Girls in Port Elizabeth. And then she started college, but just was like, it's not for me. And then started traveling around the world for 4 years. She eventually came back after those 4 years to Port Elizabeth, and she became an insurance broker. Now, I wrote this down just in case you guys are trying to figure out on a map where Port Elizabeth is. In 2019, they did change Port Elizabeth to, I'm going to butcher it because It's called Jarbarha now. So yeah. Currently though, now, very ironically, it's a very popular vacation area. And it's considered the friendly city and has a low crime rate. Except for on December 18th, 1994. I'm sorry. Sorry. Okay. It's not funny. It's not funny.
Sorry, it's not funny. It was your delivery. You were like, it was a very low crime rate. Except
I just thought it was so ironic that they say that it's the friendly city, like now it is in 2019. All right. So December 18th, 1994. Allison is 27 years old at this point. She's hanging out with her friends. They spend a day at the beach because it's at the very tail end of South Africa where all the beaches are and oceans. Beautiful area. Hanging out with her friends. They go back to her house and they start just hanging out, whatever. Around 1 a.m, Allison drives her friend Kim home, and then she comes back and she's trying to park in her normal spot, but there's a car there. So she goes down a block or so, finds a parking spot. A man.
you. So here's the thing. It's a true crime, so I know nothing can be good after a man in a true crime. It's never
fair.
like a man stopped and helped her to safety. It's never that. It's always something bad. So anyway, I'm sorry.
Yep. It's not good. Okay. So she parks. She's about to get out of her car. Then a man walks up to her car with a knife.
Okay.
And
what kind of knife?
threatens her with a knife. And he basically forces her to move over to the passenger side by saying, "Move over or I'll kill you." Okay.
Yeah.
He has now inserted himself into the vehicle. She is in the passenger side, and they just start. He's, "I don't want to actually hurt you. I don't want to. I just want to use your car. I just want to use your car for an hour."
Okay. Sure.
Okay. So they're having some small talk. She's obvious fight or flight mode, right? She's just trying to survive at this point. She tells him that her name is Susan, and he tells her his name is Clinton. Okay. She claims that she has a boyfriend at home, and if she doesn't get home soon, he's going to be worried, and she doesn't. Yeah. So Clinton says, "I don't want to hurt you. We're just going to go pick up my friend. I just need to use your car for an hour." He drives, picks up his friend. We don't know this man's name at this point.
Okay.
They drive her car with her in it just the outside of Port Elizabeth to this little beach area called Nordhoek. Now, Kathryn, I'm going to ask you to please put a lot of trigger warnings on this one.
Okay.
Because from here on out, it's graphic.
Downhill. Yeah.
Downhill.
Okay.
All right. So from here on out, listeners, if you want to skip to the end, go ahead.
The last 5 minutes is safe with us. So.
Yeah, at least. Because we just...
Bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. So major trigger warning for major sexual assault, graphic violence. Yeah, that about sums it up.
Okay.
Yeah. So they get to this area.
Spooky babes, wait. Spooky babes, if you have to end it here, we care about you and we love you and you have a good day. If you can stick it out with us, we'll see you in your nightmares. If you can stick it out with us, that would be cool though. Whatever works for you and your mental health. Okay.
Yes. Okay. We're in the middle of nowhere. It's past 1 a.m, so it's dark. She has no idea where she is. There's just two men in the car, and they're just talking and obviously not giving their real names. Like Clinton, come on.
There's people named Clinton.
I know. I'm just being an asshole.
But to be fair, Clinton is such a weird name to randomly come up with.
Yeah.
there's so many more probably like Brads or something that you could have done. Anyway, sorry. I'm just trying to postpone the inevitable that I know is coming now because we have a trigger warning.
Yeah. They stop the car,
Mhm.
and Clinton, quotations are on Clinton,
Yeah.
he looks at Allison and he says, and I quote, "We are going to rape you now. Are you going to resist?" And they
What are you
basically
supposed to say?
but they make it seem like if she just lets it happen, they'll let her go.
Oh, they're never gonna let you go. She's already
Uh,
seen too much now that she's seen their faces. You know what I mean? Like it's yeah, I'm sorry. I'm scared. What did
okay.
she say? Did she say
Uh,
anything?
she said no.
Oh, okay. You know what? If she's in fight or flight, she's gonna do what she can.
So they rape her, or yeah, they rape her, and one of them strangles her to the point where she becomes unconscious. And at this point, we're like, oh, yeah, they're trying to kill her, obviously.
Yeah.
So one of the men strangles her unconscious. She comes to, and they proceed to stab her over 30 times in the abdomen and pubic area. They, again, think that she's dead, but she's not. So then they begin to take the knife and cut her throat 16 times, like a saw, basically.
Yeah.
And they said, and I quote, "Do you think she's dead?" And in response, the other guy said, "Nobody can survive that." Okay.
Okay, so I'm just gonna like really quick. I
Mm-hmm.
understand we're telling a story here,
Mm-hmm.
but I want to be completely honest with you. I'm having flashbacks to an I Survived episode, but I don't remember their names. And then also, no one survives that. Those words have got to come back and bite him in the ass, right? No one would survive that. Okay, we're gonna let you keep going on your track. You don't have to say anything. I just want to let it be known at this point in the episode. That's what I'm thinking and feeling right now. It's like
Okay.
foreshadowing in real life. In the movie foreshadows, but real life foreshadow. It has to be.
Yeah.
Please. Please let it be that.
So the men at this point leave her for dead, or they're off talking about her, basically saying, "Oh, she's dead. She'll never survive that." And in between them, like talking, they use their real names. And
Brad.
it's not Brad.
Damn, that would have been cool. I was like, there's probably so many Brads. No, so sorry.
Maybe. But so the guys, they drive off and they throw her clothes out the window. What felt like probably hours to Allison. She regains consciousness.
Play dead
And
though.
at
Play dead, girl. Please play dead.
this point, she has no idea where she is. It's dark. She's confused. All she can feel is the sand because she's on a beach. She is just like, okay, I'm dead. I know I'm dead. So she writes in the sand Franz and Tiens, because those are the two names that she heard. So she writes her names down in the sand. And then right below that, she writes, "I love you, Mom," because she has just accepted her death at this point.
Yeah. What did she do?
Again, she like blacks out, but then comes to, and she sees these headlights, and she realizes that, oh, I'm by a road. So she starts to attempt to crawl, but realizes, one, it's too painful, and two, her yeah, her insides are on the outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, her insides are
Yeah.
outside.
That would make very much sense.
So
Considering she's probably a small person and she's 30 times, there's got to be nothing there. So that makes a lot of sense.
so she had a denim. She finds like her denim jacket that they threw out, and she like puts it over, and then she don't know how the fuck she did, but she stands up, and then her vision keeps going in and out black.
No, duh. She's probably in so much fucking pain.
That, and her head is not up.
Oh no.
Her head is basically fallen back. She's she's basically decapitated at this point.
How is this girl alive right now? In this moment, she's standing. How is this girl alive? That's crazy. Her head is just hanging off.
It's like
It's crazy.
this woman is insane. I was like,
Okay.
what the fuck? So she stands up. She's using one arm to hold the jacket over her stomach, and then the other is just like holding her head up, and she's just slowly walking to the road to where the headlights were. I know.
What? Oh my gosh. Never be able to do that.
Dude,
Just have to try to make it till morning when people came back to the beach because do that.
Dude, it's insane. So
Wow.
she's like walking and she's like trying to call out for help,
Yeah,
but
no
her
vocal cords.
her vocal cords are like cut. In hindsight, her windpipe got crushed from when they were strangling her earlier.
Yeah.
But since they cut her neck, it ended
She could
up
breathe.
she could breathe. Yeah.
They did like a tracheotomy on her by accident.
Yes. Exactly.
That's fucking crazy. Oh my gosh.
And then while she's walking to the road, she ends up collapsing onto the road. And
Understandable.
this is a little fucked up. One car did stop for a second, and then she didn't think they could see her, so she just raised her arm up. They drove off. They just left her there. But she was also thinking, oh my God, what if this is them coming back?
Yeah.
So it's like what do I do?
Who's gonna come down the road today?
At about 2:45 a.m., a car drives up to her, and the driver is a man with his friends, but the man, his name is Tien Alad. And he pulls off and he finds her. And luckily for her, one of the friends in the car had a mobile phone, even though it was very rare in the 90s. So they called for emergencies. And Tien was also a veterinary student at the time. Like he was a veterinary. Yeah. So he knew just enough basic medical like procedure to help stop her from like completely dying.
Yeah, bleeding out. She could not have had that much blood in her.
I know. So they call the emergency services. They had to call them 4 more times because they weren't showing up. Like it took them an hour and 45 minutes to get to her. But like in between all that, Tien was like, because she couldn't speak, they were communicating with like him, like her squeezing his hand and stuff, and he was just trying to keep her like awake.
Yeah.
They finally get there, the ambulance does, and Tien was getting like he ended up going with her, but he was getting so frustrated with the ambulance because they weren't driving fast. There was no sense of urgency to get her to the hospital. They were saying that, like with my research and everything, that they just assumed that she was dead already. There was no point. I was like, that's so fucked up.
That's fucked up. Yeah.
One of the doctors at the hospital, so they did get her to the hospital, and one of the doctors there, like when they first saw her, they said that it's the most severe like injuries they have seen in 16 years of them working at the hospital.
That's great.
And they, due to the damage to like her sexual organs, she would not be able to carry children, they told her.
Yeah.
But some of her injuries, they said that she was completely disemboweled. her organs, like the whole cavity, like her inner cavity, was contaminated with sand and charcoal. Somehow, luckily, all vital organs were missed from the stab wounds.
That's crazy.
It took them 3 hours, which honestly I'm surprised it was actually that short. It took them 3 hours to complete the surgery and basically like
Your stuff back inside.
Yeah. And of course they basically said it's a miracle. She is a miracle. Since she had written their names down, like she just knew what their names were, and she knew what they looked like. She remembered everything. She didn't have any like black spots or in her memory or anything, which is very shocking to the police with trauma victims. That's not entirely normal. But in less than 12 hours after her being attacked, they arrested the guys.
Oh shit.
And both men were out on, it wasn't even bail. They were arrested previously and awaiting trial for other counts of rape.
Why were they out?
Oh. So for Franz and Tien's, they said that some possible reasons for them being out is they couldn't hold them because there was no evidence for the first rape that he was being charged for. He had a stable employment. Okay. And the rape was reported a week after the incident, and he had a permanent address.
So guys with jobs and permanent addresses can't be rapists? Is that what they're saying?
Apparently, in the 90s in South Africa. And then they brought him in. So the first one he didn't really get charged for at all, like even arrested. The second one, which is the one that he did with his best buddy Tien, the officers didn't investigate into them well enough and didn't know about the first one. And
how do you have a friend that can do that with you? Like, how do you find someone who's like willing to like do illegal stuff? That's crazy. I'm sorry.
No, I know. It's disgusting. So Allison is currently, like, she's still in the hospital. She has like tubes in, like she can't talk. She's just hooked up to a ventilator to even get oxygen in. And the way that she's been communicating is by like writing or like using her hands, like just to, yeah. So this makes me mad because she identified them. She wrote their names down. She pointed at their pictures on who they were. But the officer said that the prosecution would be stronger if she could verbally say their names. Yeah, it was very frustrating. I was like, dude, she can't, like, anyway, the doctors basically said, the officers suggested that they take the tubes out just for a second so that she can say it. And the doctors said, no, we're not doing that. But Allison, being the headstrong woman she was and badass, she was like, fuck it, take them out. I'm going to say it. So they take them out. I'm pretty sure that's not what she said. But
she better have said it like that. Just fuck it, take it out. I'm going to say it.
She did name them verbally. And on December 19th, Franz and Tien's were arrested for the kidnapping, rape, and attempted murder of Allison. And the media, obviously, because it's media, they named them the Nordhoek Ripper Rapists. Gross, I know. Now, when they arrested the boys, Franz was confused by the charge of attempted murder.
Confused.
Because
after stabbing someone 30 times and
they thought she was dead.
16. Oh.
Yeah. Because
I'm like,
no one can survive that.
Did he want a murder charge? We can give him a murder charge if he wants it. He can ask for that. But you didn't murder someone.
No. So the officers tell him, hey, she's alive.
You fucked up. You
And
sick son of a bitch.
honestly. And to this he said, quote, obviously she's gonna tell you everything then. And he proceeds he's I shouldn't even lie. And then he proceeds to pull out a bloody ring and gave it to the officers and said this belonged to her.
Sir, that's crazy.
And then amongst all this, he just decides, hey, I'm also going to confess that I attacked and raped a pregnant woman 2 weeks prior to the attack of Allison.
That's
Yeah.
weird. Just to double
So-
down on all of your crap.
I know. I was like, okay. So at the time of the murder, or attempted murder, my bad,
Mhm.
sorry, Franz was 26 years old. And I have a little bit about both men, like how they became who they became. So Franz, his family seemed okay, seemed fine. His dad was a police officer. He was raised Christian. In 8th grade, he got expelled for lighting a dorm on fire. So they moved to get out of the small town. And this is about the time that they speculate that he started practicing Satanism.
Ooh, okay.
Uh-huh. Failed 9th grade twice. Yeah. That algebra, man.
Algebra 1.
Yeah. And that was the final straw for mom and dad. They were like, all right, you're going to the army. So they send him into the army.
Damn.
He ends up getting out like of the army and whatever. And his parents help him get a job at some mine. He ended up getting married. He had a daughter. Gross to me.
Yeah.
He abandoned his daughter and wife allegedly because she couldn't satisfy him sexually.
Ew.
Yep. And that's when he moved to Port Elizabeth and he got a job as a delivery driver for some stationery store or whatever. He got
Stationery
fired.
store.
Yes.
Glitter pens and paper.
Yeah.
Stationery store.
Yeah. Like
Must have a lot
Staples.
of orders. Super heavy packages.
Packages.
I feel like a
all the
grandma could be a
pens.
delivery driver at a stationery store.
Um,
I'm sorry,
he,
I'm being mean because I hate him.
of course.
Yeah.
He's not a good guy.
And it's not even allegedly. He's just not a good guy.
So he did end up getting fired from his delivery job because
He couldn't lift pens and paper.
no, because he was stealing money. But yeah, so he got fired, and there was a term for it, but I didn't write it down and I forgot what it was. But basically, he opened an illegal alcohol store, and don't know how that even worked, but that's how he met Tians because he was a customer.
So he was able to stay out of prison by owning an illegal alcohol store and also potentially raping other women and commit this heinous crime against Allison. That's crazy. Like, why are we not like nipping it in the bud at illegal alcohol store? Because he's not hurting anyone at that point. Anyway, I'm just saying there seems to have been a lot of red flags before this guy got to Allison.
And then, unfortunately, he did remarry and have a son.
He reproduced again. Man.
No. And that's where we're at with him currently.
Okay. Like today
No,
or in the story? Okay.
in the story. All right, so now we're going to learn a little bit about Tians. He was only 19 when he raped and attempted to kill her. Growing up, his father left while his mother was pregnant with him. His mother remarried, left, and then remarried another man, and they moved around a lot. And around this time, so allegedly, his stepfather was abusive to him, or may have been abusive, and and he had a
Sorry,
rough
I'm playing
childhood.
the world's smallest violin for him.
I know.
There's a lot of people who've had abusive parents that don't do this stuff. Or abusive step parents that don't do this.
That's true. Rough childhood. He was bullied I thought that this was funny. He was bullied for having a third nipple. But yeah, so of course that led to depression and drugs and alcohol.
Oh,
And then he dropped out of school in the 10th grade.
these guys are
Uh,
fucking idiots.
yeah. And
Not because they're dropouts. If you dropped out, that's perfectly fine for you. But it's because they're dropouts and criminals. They're the idiots. I also dropped out of traditional school. Anyway, sorry.
you're fine.
I'm getting sassier because now it's just I know she survived, and now I just want to like see the end in them.
Okay. Since he dropped out, he
Yeah.
went into the army
Oh,
and apparently also allegedly started practicing Satanism around this time. But the boys
feel
didn't
like-
know each other yet. They didn't know each
Yeah.
other yet. All right. Now that's a little bit about the perpetrators. The day after the attack, the boys went and had breakfast, and they even had the knife with them, like the bloody knife with them, like the whole time, which I thought was like obviously fucking disgusting. On December 29th, they were in front of a courtroom and they were not sentenced, I would say. That's not really a good term, but they basically had to go 30 days of psych eval, and they had talked amongst themselves and they told everyone we're gonna plead guilty. Like they just didn't care, man. Like they were just
yeah.
like, all right, we're caught.
They wanted to go to prison.
Also during this time, we still got Allison. She's in the hospital. She ends up getting discharged just before the new year, and it's still she has a long road to recover ahead. Her abdomen wound is said was she said was the worst one, with the most work, obviously. But she had to go into the hospital every day to get her wounds like scraped to where they would bleed, so that the new cells would like. She had plastic surgery, like lots of it, but just a lot. And even to this day, she still has some pains, obviously. On March 23rd of 1990, the pre-trial starts, and Franz and Tienz are up for 8 charges, and they pled guilty to all of them except the first rape, the one that took a week. That one, Franz pled not. That's the only one he did on his own, and he was like, "Wasn't me," which I thought was stupid. June 12th is when the official trial starts to get these guys sentencing. I wrote this on the side because I thought it was insane that this was even a thing. At the time, South Africa had a law where the victim would come into the courtroom and they had to place their hand on the shoulder of of the person
Ew.
they're going against,
Ew.
and a picture would be taken of them, and it was like it was another proof to who it was. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but you,
Which is disgusting.
that's terrifying.
Exactly. Yeah, it was another
That's-
form of identifying the person. Luckily, that's not a thing anymore. And
Thank goodness.
Allison didn't have to do that.
Thank goodness.
They did let her. They let her identify them through a one-way mirror. So I was like, and that's how they do it now, as well. They don't do
That
that
is
thing anymore.
It is crazy how many things that they had to do to identify them.
I know.
Do you care about the mental health of her or not? Because that's crazy that you have to make her say it out loud when she's not able to talk. That's wild to
Yeah.
me.
It was a lot of like bullshit things against her, honestly. Like I was getting so angry. This woman literally her insides are
Picked
hanging
up
out.
her guts. Yeah.
Yeah. She has more guts than you.
Yes. Than any of those people in that courtroom.
Yeah.
Like
And
she picked up her guts and walked to the fucking street from the beach. Have you ever walked in stand? First of all, have you ever walked in stand with your
Oh
guts
yeah.
inside of you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so imagine your guts hanging out of you and you're holding them in and your head back on your top of your head. Like walking on sand is already terrible. Walking on sand with those other predicaments, insane.
I-
That woman can do fucking anything. Anyway.
Okay, so day one of the trial, their attorney ended up dropping them and said, I cannot represent these men, quote, ethical reasons, for ethical reasons.
That's wild. That's
I don't
crazy.
know. I don't know if they were ever represented by anyone. I don't really care. The first day of trial, their first witness was the first victim of Franz, which was a 20-year-old student, and it was the woman that didn't report
Waited a
it for a
week.
week.
Yeah.
And she didn't report it because he threatened to kill her if she did. Of
Grr.
course he did. He was convicted. Franz was convicted of 4 charges in her case: 2 counts of rape, 1 count of indecent assault, and 1 count of abduction. On day 2, they had the pregnant woman that they had both attacked and assaulted the 2 weeks prior, or 2 weeks after Allison's attack.
Mhm.
They had her testimony. And then day 3 was Allison's turn. And the guy that also saved her that night, Tien, he also spoke. Tien, the bad guy. That's the thing that sucks, is like, good guy is Tien, bad guy Tien's. So Tien's, he did not testify for himself. He just accepted it. He's like, I'm guilty, whatever, I'm not going to fight it. Franz did testify, and in his testimony, he admitted to being a Satanist and said that it was a demon inside him named Incubus that told him to rape and murder these women. Because, of course, before the
Because he
trial.
couldn't take ownership of it, the fact that he had to do that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Before the trial, he asked for a pastor to come in and do an exorcism on him. And they agreed, and a pastor performed an exorcism. And during the exorcism, Franz said the name of 2 demons. One was Incubus, and the other was Succubus. Right? During the exorcism, they described it as like him getting confused, or he kept flip-flopping the names wrong. And basically just, you could tell that it was a fucking act. During the trial part, he gave his most sincere apology, a half-assed one, and, quote, said, I don't know how I'll ever forgive myself.
You don't have to forgive yourself.
Ooh, it's so sad.
You should really worry about the women that you fucking raped forgiving you. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And so, with all that said, August 7th, 1995, Franz and Tien's were found guilty of all 8 charges. And what's funny is 2 months prior to this date, they had just abolished the death penalty.
Oh, fuck.
No. So, unfortunately, they did not get the death penalty, but Franz was sentenced to 3 life sentences for every woman he raped, without the possibility of parole. And Tien's received 1 life sentence for Allison, and he got an additional 25 years with the chance of parole for
He's
the
not gonna get
pregnant.
parole.
Yeah, for the pregnant woman that they assaulted. But I have some bad news.
Take any more bad news.
I know. Okay. So this is a quote from my article, but in October 2004, a Department of Justice and Correctional Services decision declared all prisoners eligible for parole after serving 25 years in prison. Okay. So that was like a new law. And it didn't mean that they would get parole. It just meant they were eligible. At the time, in 2004, they had only served like 8 years, maybe. So they weren't, it wasn't even a thing, a consideration at the time. Around like June 2011, I believe it was, it got brought to the media's attention that they would possibly be up for parole because they were hitting that 25-year mark almost,
Right.
or they were getting there. And obviously it caused an uproar, and they're like, hell no, leave them in there. And they started a petition and everything. And at that time, they didn't get parole. But as of July 3rd, 2023, they were granted parole, and they both are released and free right now.
Both of them?
Both of them.
And they're alive?
They're alive.
Ew.
The only bright side to them being released is they were released into like a rehabilitation thing where they're going to be monitored for the rest of their life. But I'm like, how realistic is that?
For the rest of their life or for 90 days?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, that's
Like,
not really. I was like, that's not really releasing them on parole then, or whatever. If they're just going to be monitored, like just keep them in prison.
Yeah, it's just like you change the security level of the prison that they were in.
Yeah. So that's the bad news.
I hope they listen to this, and I hope that they know that we think that they're Weenie Hut Juniors.
Oh, that's funny. The good news, because I will end it on a good note, because why would I leave it at that? And because I can. So, Allison, she, for good reason, is now a motivational speaker. That's her full time. She has a book and a documentary. In 1995, when all this happened, she received the Rotary and Paul Harris Award for courage beyond the norm. And she was the first South African woman to speak publicly about the experience of rape. And that same year received the Feminine Magazine Woman of Courage Award and Port Elizabeth Citizen of the Year.
Go Allison.
I know. In
They better have given her a key to the city.
Oh, yeah. Key to the city.
Anyway.
Oh, gosh. So, yeah. And then in 1997, she married a man named Tyranny. Yeah, she married a man named Tyranny. And in 2003, she had her first baby boy named Daniel.
So she was able to have kids.
And in 2006, she had her second baby boy named Matthew. And Tian, the guy that rescued her, or that helped her, he ended up becoming an actual doctor, a human doctor. And he was the assisting doctor in her second birth. And I thought that was really cute.
That's so cute. Oh my gosh.
And that's basically it, other than if the Spooky Babes are interested. Her documentary is just called, it's Allison. It's called Allison. And it's on Amazon Prime for free. And
with Amazon Prime.
Yes. And then her book is titled I Have Life.
Nice.
And that came out, I believe, in 1998.
Wow. That's so good. I'm so glad that she survived.
And that is the story of the survival of Allison Botha.
You knew I'd eat a survival story up.
I know. I was like, oh, I saw a TikTok of it, and I was like, oh my God, it's a true crime and a survival true crime? Bro, I gotta do this one.
I swear she was on an episode of I Survived.
Maybe.
All right. Thanks for bringing that for us.
You're welcome.
Did you have anything to tell Spooky Babes before we let them go?
Oh, Spooky Babes, I hope this wasn't too awful. It's a happy-ish ending, at least. But yeah, I get it's a little hard. Most of it's at least in the beginning.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and that's why I was like, I need to get more information so that it's not just bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just be careful. out there. World's scary. And damn, we need more Allison Bothas out here.
That's for sure. I agree.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it.
All right, Spooky Babes, I hope you had a good time with us today. If you could hang out with us for the whole episode, thank you so much. If not, we totally understand. Remember, stay alert, stay vigilant when you're out, especially when you're by yourself. Don't be on your phone when you're out and by yourself. Lock your doors in your car. And yes, we appreciate you and we hope that you have a really great week. And the world is a better place with you in it. And we will see you.
In your nightmares. Ooh.
Go, Allison. Yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.